I wasn't supposed to remember the taste of her lips. But 3 weeks later, when she pinned me against the archive shelf, it came rushing back like something unfinished, something that refused to stay buried. In that moment, there was only one thought: this is how I disappear. 2 professors, one carefully constructed lie, and a girl who came before me who never made it out. It didn't start there. It started the night I found the photograph. The campus had already fallen into that eerie midnight silence where every sound feels amplified, where even your own heartbeat feels intrusive. I should have left hours earlier. My eyes burned from staring at the same paragraph for too long, and my coffee had gone cold long before I noticed. But my thesis defense was only 2 weeks away, and failure wasn't something I could afford. Not with my scholarship hanging by a thread. Not with the weight of proving my mother wrong pressing down on me. The quiet accusation that college was never meant for girls like us. So I stayed. The 3rd floor of the library became mine after dark. Most students avoided it, unsettled by the suffocating quiet, but I found comfort there. No expectations, no interruptions, just the steady presence of books and the invisible ghosts of every failure that had come before me. I was deep into postmodern theory when the voices broke through the silence, low, urgent, out of place. They were coming from the restricted archives at the end of the hall. Locked every night at 9. I knew that for a fact. I had tried to get access once, and been shut down immediately. Whatever was happening there shouldn't have been happening at all. I should have ignored it. But I didn't. I stood slowly, the scrape of my chair echoing far too loudly in the empty space. The sound made me freeze, but the voices didn't stop. If anything, they sharpened. The hallway stretched out ahead of me, half-lit, shadows pooling between the broken overhead lights. I moved quietly, each step deliberate, until the words became clear. You can't keep doing this to yourself. The voice was smooth, controlled, but strained beneath the surface. I recognized it instantly. Dr. Yona. Cold, brilliant. The kind of professor who could dissect literature and leave you feeling exposed in the process. I had spent months trying not to stare at her during lectures. I'm not doing anything to myself. The second voice was softer, warmer, but edged with something just as dangerous. Dr. Char Heron from the psychology department, the one everyone trusted, the one who made people feel seen. You're the one who can't let go, Heron said. Yona let out a quiet, bitter laugh. You think I haven't tried? You think I don't wake up every morning and tell myself today is the day I forget her? A pause, heavy. She looked exactly like her, Yona continued, her voice breaking. When she walked into my lecture hall, I thought I was losing my mind. My breath caught. I pressed closer to the wall, barely daring to move. You're not losing your mind, Heron replied softly. I saw it too, the resemblance is uncanny. Then you understand why I can't walk away. What I understand, Heron said, her tone tightening, is that we tried this before. And it ended with her disappearing. We still don't know if she's alive. Silence followed, crushing, suffocating silence. That's exactly why we have to try again. Yona said quietly, Heron's voice cracked. Or maybe we put another girl in danger. Footsteps shifted. I won't carry that guilt again. Then what do you suggest? Yona pressed. We wait, we watch. We don't make contact until we're sure. A floorboard creaked beneath my foot. Everything stopped. Someone's there. I didn't wait to be found. I ran. The sound of my footsteps echoed violently as I sprinted down the hallway, through the stairwell, down flights of steps I barely registered. I didn't stop until I reached the ground floor, lungs burning, vision blurring at the edges. The library stretched empty around me, exit signs glowing faintly in the darkness. 2 professors. A missing girl. Someone who looked like her, like who? Cold night air hit me as I pushed outside. The campus was deserted, shadows stretching long under flickering streetlights. Halfway across the quad, the feeling settled in. The unmistakable sense of being watched. I turned nothing. But it didn't go away. My phone buzzed in my hand. Unrunal number. She looked like you too. Before she vanished, another message came before I could react. They've been waiting for someone like you. Han Siori. My blood turned cold. Another vibration, check your bag. Left pocket. My hands trembled as I obeyed. There was something inside, something I hadn't put there. A photograph, worn and bent with age. 3 people stood in it. Dr. Yona, Dr. Char Heron, and between them, a girl, my height, my face, my eyes. Even the small birthmark near her collarbone, the one I had spent years wishing away. The world tilted. I looked up. Dr. Yona stood at the far edge of the quad watching me. She took a step forward, then another. Her lips moved and somehow, impossibly, I heard the words as clearly as if she stood beside me. You came back to us. I ran. The photograph crumpled in my grip as I pushed my body harder, faster, desperate to put distance between myself and whatever this was. By the time I reached my dorm, my hands were shaking so badly I could barely unlock the door. I stumbled inside, slammed it shut, and pressed my back against it, trying to steady my breathing. The photograph was still there. I smoothed it out with trembling fingers and turned it over. 3 words, written in faded ink: our first summer. No names. No date. Just a fragment of something that felt too heavy to understand. My phone buzzed again. They'll come for you tomorrow during office hours. Don't go alone. I stared at the message, my mind racing, trying to make sense of something that refused to make sense. I typed back, who are you? The typing indicator appeared, disappeared, returned. Then nothing. No answer came. Morning arrived too quickly. I moved through it like I wasn't fully there, sitting in class, taking notes I wouldn't remember, replaying the night over and over again in my head. You came back to us. What did that even mean? After class, as the hallway slowly emptied, my phone buzzed once more. An email this time. The subject line made my stomach drop: research assistant position. Immediate placement. I opened it with unsteady hands. I had been selected, assigned directly under Dr. Bakyona and Dr. Char Heron. My first meeting was scheduled for that afternoon. 2 p.m. Humanities Building, Robom 304. There was no coincidence left in any of this. Attendance is mandatory as this position has been added to your academic record. Congratulations. The message ended with the signature of the Dean of Graduate Studies. My hands went cold. I had never applied for any research position. I checked the sender again. Official university address, department seal, everything perfectly legitimate. No mistakes. No signs of a prank. Just something I hadn't chosen being forced into my record, like it had always belonged there. I looked at the time, 1:47 p.m., 13 minutes. The warning from the night before pressed into my thoughts like a bruise. Don't go alone. But there was no one to take. No one I could explain this to without sounding unhinged. There was no version of this story that didn't fall apart the moment it left my mouth. 2 professors, a missing girl, a photograph of someone identical to me. It all sounded like fiction, even inside my own head. Still, my feet carried me forward. The Humanities Building loomed quiet and still, its corridors nearly empty at that hour. Room 304 sat at the end of a long hallway. Dark wooden door. Frosted glass window. A small placard beside it read, Dr. Bakyona, Comparative Literature. I stood outside for a few seconds, steadying my breathing, trying to gather whatever composure I had left. Then I knocked. Come in. Her voice was controlled, measured. I pushed the door open. The office was smaller than I expected. Bookshelves climbed from floor to ceiling along 3 walls, filled with neatly arranged volumes. A desk sat near the window, papers stacked with almost obsessive precision. The air smelled faintly of jasmine and old paper, something soft layered over something sharper I couldn't quite name. Dr. Bakyona stood behind the desk. She looked different in daylight, less untouchable, less distant. There was something strained beneath her composure, like she was holding herself together piece by piece. Ems Han. Thank you for coming. I didn't have a choice. The words slipped out sharper than intended. The email said it was mandatory. Something flickered across her face. Guilt, maybe. Or regret. Please sit. I didn't move. I never applied for this. I know. The admission hung heavy in the air. Then why? Because we need to talk. The voice came from behind me. I turned sharply. Dr. Char Heron stood in the doorway, closing it softly before locking it with a quiet click. My pulse spiked. This isn't. We're not going to hurt you, she said gently, her tone the same calm reassurance she used in lectures. We just need to understand something. Understand what? Yona stepped around the desk, moving closer with careful intention. Not threatening, but deliberate enough to make it impossible to ignore. Where did you get the photograph? My jaw tightened. It was in my bag. I don't know how it got there. You don't know, Yona repeated, studying me. Or you don't want to tell us. I'm telling the truth. Are you? Heron stepped closer too, until they stood on either side of me. Not trapping me, but close enough that their presence pressed in from both directions. I could smell Heron's perfume, something warm and citrusy that made my thoughts feel unsteady. The girl in that photo, Yona said quietly. Do you know who she is? No. Do you know why she looks like you? No. Do you know what happened to her? My throat tightened. You tell me. Silence fell, thick and suffocating. Yona and Heron exchanged a glance, something silent passing between them that I wasn't meant to understand. Her name was Nari, Heron said at last. Han Nari. The room tilted. Han, my last name. She was a student here 3 years ago, Yona added, her voice roughening. Brilliant. Kind. She was ours, Heron finished, the word hit hard. Ours? Yona stepped closer again, close enough that I could see the faint exhaustion lining her eyes. We loved her, she said simply. Both of us. And she loved us. My thoughts stumbled over themselves. That's not allowed. Heron gave a small, sad smile. No, it wasn't, but it was real. And then she disappeared. Yona continued. Spring break. She went home to visit family and never came back. No calls, no messages, no trace. Her hand lifted slowly, giving me time to pull away. I didn't. Her fingers brushed my cheek. The contact sent a sharp electric sensation down my spine. And now you're here, she whispered. Same face, same name. Her thumb traced lightly along my collarbone, stopping over the small birthmark I had always hated. The same mark. My breath caught. Heron moved closer, her hand wrapping gently around my wrist, her thumb pressing against my pulse. Your heart is racing, she murmured. Let me go. We're not holding you. Yona's hand fell away. You can leave whenever you want. But I didn't move. What do you want from me? My voice broke. Yona held my gaze, something dark and desperate flickering beneath the surface. We want to know if you're her. The door handle rattled violently. All three of us froze. A voice cut through from the other side. Male, firm, authoritative. Dr. Back, campus security. We received a report of a student in distress. Ice spread through my chest. Yona's jaw tightened. Heron's grip on my wrist shifted, not tighter, but more deliberate. Who called them? I whispered. Neither answered. Dr. Back, I need you to open this door now. Yona looked at me, her eyes searching mine, asking something unspoken. Then she leaned in, close enough that her breath brushed my ear. Do you trust us? I didn't, but I also didn't want to explain this to campus security. Didn't want to untangle the truth out loud and hear how impossible it sounded. Yes, I whispered. Something flashed across her expression. Relief, something darker beneath it. She moved to the door. Heron's hand slipped from my wrist into my palm, her fingers threading through mine. The touch was warm, steady, grounding in a way that made my stomach twist. Yona unlocked the door and opened it just enough to block the view inside. Officer Chen, she said calmly, every trace of earlier emotion gone. Is there a problem? We received an anonymous report, the guard replied. A student being held against her will. As you can see, I'm in the middle of a research meeting with my new assistant. She stepped aside slightly, revealing me. Ems. Han is here voluntarily. The guard's eyes landed on mine. He looked older, experienced, the kind of man who had seen enough to trust his instincts. Is that true? Are you here of your own free will? Heron's fingers tightened subtly around mine. Every instinct in me screamed to speak, to step away, to leave. But something else held me there. Something I didn't understand yet, a need for answers. A pull toward whatever this was. Yes, I said quietly. I'm fine. He studied us for a moment longer, his gaze lingering on our joined hands. You're sure? Yes, he nodded slowly. All right. If you need anything, security's on the first floor. Thank you, Yona replied. That won't be necessary. She closed the door and locked it again. The silence that followed felt heavier than before. I pulled my hand away and stepped back, putting space between us. What the hell was that? My voice shook. Who called security? Someone who doesn't want us talking to you, Heron said quietly. Who? We don't know. Yona moved to her desk, pulling out her phone. Her expression hardened as she read something on the screen, tension settling into her jaw. But they're watching, she said. They knew you were here. Fear crept up my spine, slow and cold. The person who's been texting me, I asked. Both of them turned sharply toward me. Someone's been texting you? Heron's voice lost its softness, cutting sharp. Since when? Last night. After I left the library. My hands trembled as I pulled out my phone and showed them the messages. Yona's face drained of color as she read. Heron's expression shifted into something darker, something dangerous. This is exactly what happened before, Heron said. With Nari. The messages. The warnings. Someone was watching her too. Who? I demanded. We never found out, Yona said, her voice hollow. By the time we understood how serious it was, she was already gone. My throat went dry. You think whoever took her is coming after me now? We don't know if anyone took her, Heron said carefully. She could have left on her own. We just don't know. But you think someone was involved? Yona met my eyes. Yes. The room felt smaller, the air thinner. I should go. I grabbed my bag, backing toward the door. This is insane. I don't know you. I don't know what happened to that girl and I don't want to. You can't go home. Yona cut in sharply. I stopped. Excuse me? If someone is watching you, your dorm isn't safe. They know where you live, Heron added. They knew you'd be here. They're tracking you. Then I'll go to the police. And tell them what? Yona's voice turned hard. That 2 professors are worried about your safety because you resemble their missing student? That you're receiving anonymous texts? Without proof, they won't take it seriously. She said my name then. Sorry. The familiarity sent a chill through me. So what do you want me to do? I asked. Stay with us, Heron said. I let out a short, bitter laugh. You're joking. We have a place off campus, Yona continued. Private, secure. No one knows about it except us. Absolutely not. It's temporary, Heron said quickly. Just until we figure out who's behind this. No. I turned toward the door again. This is crazy. You're both crazy if you think I'm going to. She had a sister. Yona's words stopped me cold. I turned back slowly. Nari, she said. She had a younger sister. Did you know that? No. Her family never talked about it, Yona continued. But we found out later. The sister disappeared when Nari was 12. Presumed dead. My hand tightened around the doorknob. Why are you telling me this? Because it might be connected, Heron said softly. Maybe whoever took her sister came back for Nari. And maybe now they're coming for you. That's insane. Is it? Yona stepped closer. You have the same name, the same face, the same birthmark. Someone put that photograph in your bag. Someone has been texting you. Someone called security the moment we tried to talk to you. Her voice dropped. You think those are coincidences? My head spun. None of this felt real. I need air. I yanked the door open. Heron caught my arm. Sorry, please, don't touch me. I pulled free, ignoring the flicker of hurt in her expression. I need to think alone. At least let us walk you back, Yona said. No. I left before they could argue. The hallway stretched empty ahead of me, every footstep echoing too loudly. Shadows clung to the corners, heavy and watchful. By the time I pushed outside, the gray afternoon light felt almost blinding. Students passed by in groups, laughing, talking, living normal lives. None of them knew anything had changed. My phone buzzed, unknown number. My hands shook as I opened the message. You should have listened to them. Another message followed instantly. She didn't listen either. Then another check your student portal. My breath hitched as I pulled up the university site and logged in. A notification sat at the top of my dashboard. Academic probation. Immediate review required. My scholarship. My funding. Everything that kept me here. Gone. Suspended, effective immediately. I couldn't breathe. Another message came through. Funny how quickly things disappears. Scholarships. Students. People in my vision blurred. Leave now and you lose everything. Stay close to them and you might survive a photo loaded. Me walking across the quad last night. Another, me in the library 3 weeks ago. They had been watching me long before I noticed. My phone rang. Unknown number, I answered. Silence. Just breathing, then a voice, distorted, mechanical. She tried to run too. The line went dead, footsteps behind me close, too close. I turned. Heron stood a few feet away, slightly out of breath, like she had run to catch up. Your scholarship, she said. We saw the notification. Someone is targeting you. They're trying to push you, either away or toward something. How did you even see that? We're listed as your academic advisors now, Yona said, appearing beside her. The position gives us access to your records. Anger flared. You planned this. All of it. No, Yona said firmly. We requested you as a research assistant. We didn't suspend your scholarship. Someone else did. Someone who wants you vulnerable. A car pulled up beside the curb. Black, tinted windows. The engine idled low. The back door swung open. No one stepped out. Cold spread through my chest. Heron moved in front of me, shielding me instinctively. Get behind us. Yona shifted too, placing herself between me and the street. We stood frozen, staring at the open door. Something was thrown out onto the pavement. A phone, then the door slammed shut, and the car sped away. Yona approached it cautiously, picking it up. One message, she said, a video file. She pressed play. The screen flickered to life. A room. Dark. Concrete walls. A tied chair, her head hanging forward, hair obscuring her face. The camera moved closer. She lifted her head. My breath stopped. My face stared back at me. Not mine, Nari's. Her eyes were wide with fear, tears streaking down her cheeks. Her lips moved silently, but I could read them. Help me. The screen cut to black. Then text appeared. 3 years ago. I took her pause. Today, I'm coming for you. The phone slipped from Yona's hand and hit the ground. For a moment, none of us moved, then Heron's arm wrapped around my waist, pulling me back. We're leaving, now. I didn't argue. Couldn't. My legs barely worked as they guided me toward the parking lot. My mind replayed the video over and over, her face, my face, the fear in her eyes. 3 years ago, I took her. Yona grabbed the phone and caught up, her hand gripping my arm as they led me to a silver sedan. Get in the back, she said. I obeyed. My hands shook so badly I couldn't fasten the seatbelt. Heron slid in beside me and did it for me, her fingers brushing my collarbone. The contact burned. Yona pulled out of the lot fast, tires scraping against the pavement. Where are we going? I asked, my voice distant. Somewhere safe, Heron said. That's not an answer. Our place, Yona said, meeting my eyes in the rearview mirror. No one knows about it. I should have protested. Should have demanded something else. But the video had changed everything. Someone had taken Nari, and now they wanted me. The city blurred past the windows as we drove in silence. After 20 minutes, Yona turned onto a quiet, tree-lined street lined with large, gated houses. She pulled into a driveway and opened the garage remotely. We drove inside, the door shut behind us with a heavy finality. Inside, lights flickered on, revealing a clean, modern space that felt too perfect, too controlled. Come on, Heron said. I followed them through into the house. The kitchen was sleek, polished, the kind of place that looked staged rather than lived in. Nothing about it looked dangerous. Everything about it felt like a trap. I need to call my roommate, I said. She'll worry. Use this. Yona handed me a brand new phone, still sealed in its box. Don't use your personal phone, Yona said. They might be tracking it. The quiet urgency in her voice should have frightened me more than it did. Instead, it settled into me like something inevitable. I opened the new phone, typed a quick message to my roommate, simple, casual, normal. Staying off campus tonight for a study group. Back tomorrow, she replied almost instantly with a thumbs up. Normal. Everything outside this house was still painfully, impossibly normal. You should eat something, Heron said gently. She moved through the kitchen with practiced ease, opening the refrigerator, pulling out containers, heating something that smelled like soup. The familiarity of it all felt wrong. Like this wasn't the first time they had stood in this space with someone shaken and afraid. I'm not hungry. You need to eat anyway. Yona disappeared down the hallway and returned with folded clothes. Soft sweater, loose sweatpants. She held them out to me. These will be more comfortable. You can shower if you want. Second door down the hall. I took them without thinking. The fabric was expensive, soft against my fingers, carrying that same faint jasmine scent from her office. Whose are these? Silence stretched for a moment, then Heron spoke quietly. They were hers. Nari's. My stomach twisted. I can't wear these. They're clean, Yona said. We kept some of her things, in case she came back. The hope in her voice cracked something inside me. I tightened my grip on the clothes. What if she doesn't come back? What if that video? Don't. Yona's voice cut sharp through the air. Don't finish that. Heron set a bowl down on the counter harder than necessary. She has to be alive. The desperation in her words lingered, heavy and fragile. I looked down at the clothes again, then forced the conversation away from that edge. I'll take the shower. The bathroom was as immaculate as everything else. White marble, glass walls, perfectly folded towels that looked untouched. I stepped under water hot enough to sting, letting it burn against my skin while my thoughts spiraled. 3 years. They had spent 3 years searching for her, holding on to her things, preserving pieces of her life like she might step back into it at any moment. And now I was here, wearing her face. What did they really want from me? Answers, closure, or something else entirely? I dried off and pulled on the clothes. They fit perfectly. Of course they did. When I returned, Heron was setting the table. 3 bowls placed carefully. Like this was just another evening. Like nothing about this was out of place. Yona stood by the window, her phone pressed to her ear. I understand. Yes, thank you. She ended the call and turned to us. That was a contact in the police department. They're opening a file on the threats, but without solid evidence, there's not much they can do. What about the video? I asked. They're analyzing it, she said. But it could be old footage. It could be fabricated. They can't confirm it's really her or when it was taken. My appetite disappeared completely. Eat, Heron said softly, pulling out a chair. Please. I sat and forced myself to take a few bites. The soup was warm, well-made, comforting in a way I couldn't feel. Tell me about her, I said after a moment. Nari. Who was she really? Yona and Heron exchanged a glance. She was brilliant, Heron began. Psychology and literature, a double major. She wanted to write novels about the human mind. She was kind, Yona added, her voice softening. She believed in people, even when they didn't deserve it. She believed in us, Heron said quietly, when we didn't believe in ourselves. The intimacy in their words tightened something in my chest. How did it start? She took both of our classes, Yona said, back when we barely knew each other beyond being colleagues. She saw something between us before we did, Heron continued. She started meeting each of us separately, then suggested we meet together. She knew, Yona said, her gaze steady. Before we did. Knew what? That we belonged together. Silence followed, thick and undeniable. Thunder rolled outside. Rain began tapping against the windows, growing heavier by the second. The university found out, Heron said quietly. Someone reported the relationship. We were investigated, Yona added, bitterness creeping in. Nari was terrified, expulsion, our careers, everything. What happened? Nothing, Yona said. Not enough proof. But it didn't matter. Nari pulled away, Heron said. She said it was too dangerous, that she needed space. And then she disappeared, I whispered. 2 weeks later, Heron confirmed. We thought she was avoiding us. By the time we realized something was wrong, it was too late. Rain battered the windows now, wind rattling the glass. Yona's phone buzzed on the table. She glanced at it and went pale. What? Heron demanded. Yona turned the screen toward us. A message, unknown number, a photo attached. My dorm room, taken from inside. My bed, my desk. My things scattered exactly as I had left them that morning. Today's date stamped in the corner. Someone had been there. Another message appeared. You can't hide her from me. Then another, I know where you are. The lights went out. Everything plunged into darkness. Heron's hand found mine instantly across the table. Yona's chair scraped back. Stay quiet, she whispered. Footsteps echoed outside, slow, deliberate, then a knock. 3 precise strikes against the door. A voice followed, familiar, wrong, Dr. Back. Dr. Heron. I know you're in there. My blood turned to ice. I know you have her. The door handle rattled. Let me in. We need to talk about Siori. Heron's grip tightened painfully around my hand. Who is that? I whispered. Yona's voice came back low and lethal. The dean of students. The words hit harder than anything else. The dean, my scholarship, my future, everything tied to my place here, was standing outside in the rain, asking for me by name. Don't answer, I breathed, but Yona was already moving. Are you insane? Heron hissed. If we don't answer, she'll know something's wrong. Yona didn't stop. Stay here, don't make a sound. Another knock, louder this time. Dr. Back, I saw your car. I know you're home. Yona unlocked the door and opened it just enough to block the view inside. Dean Kwan, this is unexpected. From the dark kitchen, I could only see her silhouette, tall, composed, an umbrella held above her. I apologize for the intrusion, the dean said smoothly. But I'm looking for one of our students. Siori. My heart stopped. Her roommate mentioned a study group, the dean continued, but no one seems to know where she is. I'm not sure how I can help with that, Yona replied carefully. She's listed as your new research assistant, the dean said. I thought she might have mentioned her plans. We had a brief meeting earlier, nothing more. Silence stretched between them, heavy with calculation. I see. A pause. Dr. Back, may I come in? Just for a moment. It's not a good time. It's important. There was an edge beneath the politeness now. It concerns her safety. Heron's grip on my hand tightened again. I could feel her pulse racing. Yona didn't move. Her safety? She repeated. There have been concerning incidents. Threats. A beat. The kind that remind me of another student. The air shifted. I believe you remember Nari. The name hung there like a blade. Yona's shoulders tensed. I remember. Then you understand my concern, the dean said, her voice smooth but edged. When another student with the same last name, a similar face, and a connection to both you and Dr. Heron suddenly appears on campus. That's quite a leap, Yona replied. Is it? The softness vanished from the dean's tone. Let me be direct. I know about your relationship with Nari. I know about the investigation. And I know you've been looking for her ever since she disappeared. We've done nothing wrong. Haven't you? She stepped closer to the doorway, her presence pressing inward, bringing a vulnerable student into your home, following the same pattern as before. How long before this one disappears too? Rage flashed across Yona's face. You have no right. I have every right, the dean said coldly. I am responsible for student safety. And right now I am very concerned about Siori. She's not here. Then you won't mind if I come in and confirm that. The air shifted, sharp and electric. Heron pulled me deeper into the shadows, her breath brushing my ear. Upstairs now. We moved quietly toward a staircase I hadn't even noticed before. Every step felt too loud, my pulse roaring in my ears. Behind us, Yona's voice carried through the house. I'm not letting you in without a warrant. I don't need one if I have reasonable concern for a student's safety. Then call security. Do it properly. We reached the second floor. Heron guided me into a bedroom and eased the door nearly closed, leaving just enough space to hear downstairs. The conversation shifted. I tried to warn them, the dean said, her voice losing its polished edge. I told them Nari wasn't what she seemed. What are you talking about? Yona demanded. She was using you, both of you, playing a game you didn't understand. That's a lie, is it? Did she ever tell you about her family, her real family? Silence answered. I thought not. The dean's tone turned almost satisfied. Nari wasn't just a brilliant student. Her family has connections, dangerous ones. The kind that wouldn't tolerate their daughter being involved in a scandal with 2 professors. My breath caught. You're saying her family took her? Yona's voice cracked. I'm saying there were parts of her life you never saw, the dean replied. And now history is repeating itself with Siori. Siori is different. How do you know? Because she is. Or because she looks like Nari, the dean countered. Because she arrived at the perfect moment to reopen old wounds. Heron's grip tightened painfully around my hand. What are you suggesting? Yona asked. I'm suggesting, the dean said slowly, that Siori may not be a victim at all. She may be bait. The words landed like a blow. Get out, Yona said, her voice low and dangerous. I'm trying to protect you. By accusing an innocent student of conspiracy, Yona snapped. Get out. Fine. The dean's tone went cold. But when this ends badly, and it will, don't say I didn't warn you. Footsteps, the door opening. Rain rushing in for a moment, then cutting off again. Silence. Heron and I stayed frozen in the dark long after the sound of the car faded. Finally, Yona's voice called up from below. She's gone. We came down slowly. Yona stood in the hallway, pale under the dim emergency lighting. Is it true? I asked. About Nari's family? I don't know, she said, her voice breaking. She never talked about them. Said they were estranged. We should have asked more questions, Heron said quietly. What did she mean about me being bait? I asked. The question tasted wrong the moment it left my mouth. Neither of them answered. Tell me. Yona turned toward the window, staring out into the rain. When Nari disappeared, we started getting messages, threats, warnings. Someone wanted us to stop looking. We didn't, Heron continued. We hired investigators, dug into her background, and we found something. Yona said, What? Her family wasn't estranged. They were powerful. Her father runs one of the largest corporations in Seoul. Her mother comes from old money. They had very specific plans for her future. Plans that didn't include us. Heron finished. My stomach turned. You think they made her disappear? We think they removed her, Yona said. Sent her somewhere we couldn't reach. Maybe back to Korea. Maybe somewhere else. Then why the video? I asked. Why make it look like a kidnapping? To scare us, Heron said. To make us stop looking. Or, a new voice cut through the room. To make sure you were looking in the wrong direction. We turned. A figure stepped out from the shadows of the hallway. My blood went cold. It was her, Nari, a live wool, standing there like something pulled from memory into reality. She looked exactly like the photograph, exactly like me. Hello, she said softly, her eyes fixed on mine. I've been waiting for you. Yona made a broken sound. Heron stumbled back. Nari? Heron's voice cracked. Nari smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. How did I survive? She said quietly. I didn't. She stepped closer. The girl you loved died 3 years ago. What's left is something else. Then she turned fully toward me. And she's here to make sure my baby sister doesn't make the same mistakes. The word hit harder than anything else. Sister? No, I whispered. That's not possible. I'm an only child. Her expression softened, something sad flickering beneath it. That's what they told you, she said. After they gave me away. After they decided one daughter was enough. She reached out and touched my face. Her hand was cold. But I never forgot you, Siori. I've been watching you your whole life. Waiting. For what? Her eyes darkened. To show you the truth about them. She turned toward Yona and Heron, who stood frozen, shattered. Did you tell her? Nari asked. About what really happened? Neither of them spoke. No? Her tone sharpened. Then I will. She looked back at me. They didn't just love me, she said. They controlled me, isolated me, made themselves my entire world. That's not true, Heron whispered. Isn't it? Nari shot back. You monitored everything. My grades, my friends, my calls. You called it love. I called it a cage. We were protecting you, Yona said, desperation breaking through. From what? Nari demanded. From living? From having a life outside of you? Tears streamed down Heron's face. You said you loved us. I did, Nari said softly. That's what made it so painful. I loved you enough not to see what was happening until I couldn't breathe anymore. She turned back to me, so I left. I made you all believe I was taken. You faked it, I whispered. Yes, I disappeared so they would stop looking. And I built something new, something free. Then why come back? Because they found you, she said. And I wasn't going to let them do to you what they did to me. The lights snapped back on blinding. Sirens cut through the air outside. Tires screeched. Doors slammed. A voice boomed through a megaphone. Campus police. We have the house surrounded. Dr. Back, Dr. Heron, come out with your hands visible. Everything inside me collapsed. We have a warrant for your arrest for the kidnapping of Han Siori. My knees gave out. Nari caught me before I hit the floor, her arms steady around me. I'm sorry, but I had to save you. She looked at them. I called them, she said. I told them you took her, that you were dangerous, that you were doing it again. You destroyed us, Yona breathed. No, Nari replied, her voice steady. I saved her. The front door burst open. Officers flooded inside. And in that moment, everything narrowed to a single, impossible choice. Believe the sister I never knew I had, or believe the two women whose touch still lingered on my skin. An officer approached me carefully. Miss Han, are you hurt? Did they harm you? My mouth opened. Nothing came out because I didn't know the answer. No, I said finally. The word surprised even me. The officer frowned. Excuse me? No, I repeated, stronger this time. They didn't hurt me. I came here willingly. Nari's grip tightened. Sorry, what are you doing? I pulled away from her and forced myself to stand. My legs trembled, but they held. I'm an adult, I said. I chose to come here. I looked at Yona and Heron. They stood frozen, surrounded by officers, hands raised, everything unraveling around them. They didn't kidnap me. The officer hesitated. Miss Han, we have credible evidence you may have been coerced. From who? I cut in, my voice sharper than I intended. I turned and pointed toward Nari. Her? The sister I didn't even know existed until minutes ago? The woman who's supposedly been dead for 3 years. Confusion spread through the room, quiet but unmistakable. There's clearly been a misunderstanding, another officer said, older, his tone more measured. But we still need statements from everyone. Down at the station. Fine, I said. But they're not under arrest. I'll make a formal statement. I was never held against my will. The older officer studied me for a long moment, then nodded. All right, everyone comes in. We'll sort it out properly. 2 hours later, I sat in a gray interview room that smelled like stale coffee and something older, something worn down by too many confessions. I told them everything, the messages, the photograph, the video, why I had chosen to go with Yona and Heron, everything except how it felt when they touched me. The detective across from me leaned forward slightly. She looked kind, the kind of person who listened more than she spoke, but there was something firm beneath that softness. Ms. Han, you need to understand something, she said. These women were in a relationship with your sister, a relationship that violated university policy, possibly crossed ethical boundaries. I know, and now they've brought you into their home. You understand how that looks? I understand how it looks, I said quietly, but that's not what's happening. Then what is happening? I didn't have an answer that sounded sane. The detective sighed, her fingers brushing against the ring on her hand. Your sister is worried about you. My sister left me when I was a baby, I said. She doesn't get to be worried now. She says your parents gave her up for adoption, that she's tried to reconnect for years but didn't want to disrupt your life. My throat tightened. That's not the same as being a sister. Maybe not. But she believes she's protecting you. What if I don't need protection? The question hung between us. Unexpected. The detective leaned back slightly. You're an adult. You can make your own decisions. But be careful. People aren't always who they seem. She stood. You're free to go. But I'd recommend keeping your distance from Dr. Back and Dr. Heron until this is resolved. Resolved how? We're reopening questions about their conduct 3 years ago. My chest sank. You're going after their jobs. We're doing our job, she replied evenly. Nari was waiting in the lobby. She stood the moment she saw me, something fragile in her expression. Hope, fear, something in between. Sorry, I walked past her. Please, just listen. I turned back sharply. You destroyed them, I said. You let them believe you were dead for 3 years. You let them grieve you. And now you call the police on them for trying to protect me? They were obsessed with me, she said, her voice shaking. They couldn't let me breathe. They would have done the same to you. You don't know that. I lived it, she insisted. I know how it starts. It feels good at first. Being seen, being chosen. 2 people who think you're everything. Her words hit closer than I wanted them to. But then it changes, she continued. They need to know where you are, who you're with. They start deciding things for you. Because they love you too much to let you make mistakes. Silence stretched between us. Even if that's true, I said. You had no right to lie, to make them think you were suffering somewhere, that you were taken. I needed them to stop looking, she whispered. If they had found me, I would have gone back. Because I loved them, because I couldn't let go. Or because it was real, I said quietly. She flinched. I did love them, she admitted. That's why I left. We stood under harsh fluorescent lights, strangers connected by blood, arguing over something neither of us fully understood. Where are they? I asked finally. Still being questioned, she said. They'll be released. The charges won't hold without your statement. Sorry. Come stay with me tonight. Let me explain everything. Let me be your sister. I looked at her properly then. She had my face, but her eyes were different, older, tired in a way that didn't fade. I need time. I understand. She handed me a card. When you're ready, I'll be there. I took it, but didn't promise anything. I waited outside for 2 more hours before they finally came out. Yona saw me first. Something broke across her face. Relief tangled with something more fragile. Heron stood beside her, exhausted, hollow in a way that made my chest ache. They approached slowly, like they weren't sure I would still be there. You stayed, Heron said softly. I told them the truth. Thank you, Yona said, her voice rough. You didn't have to. Yes, I did. I met her eyes. Because I don't think you're the villains here. We're not innocent either, Heron said quietly. Everything Nari said, it wasn't entirely wrong, Yona admitted. We held on too tightly. We were afraid of losing her. And she suffocated, Heron finished. Silence stretched between us again, fragile and uncertain. I should walk away, I said. I should want nothing to do with you. But, Yona asked, something dangerous flickering in her voice. But I keep thinking about you, I said. About how you looked at her in that photograph. About how you've spent 3 years mourning someone you never stopped loving. I stepped closer. And I keep thinking about how it felt when you touched me. Heron's breath caught. Sorry. You don't understand what you're saying, Yona said, though her voice wasn't steady. Don't I? I took another step. You asked me if I trusted you. Back then I said yes because I needed a way out. I held her gaze. But now, I think I still mean it. You shouldn't, Heron whispered. We'll break you. Maybe I'm already broken, I said. Maybe that's why I fit. The words settled between us, heavy and undeniable. Yona moved first. Her hand lifted slowly. Giving me time to step away, I didn't. Her fingers brushed my jaw, tilting my face toward hers. If we do this, she said quietly, there's no going back. I know. We won't be able to let you go. I know. Heron stepped closer behind me, her presence warm, grounding. We'll want all of you, she murmured. I know. Yona's breath brushed against my lips. Then don't run. I'm not running. The space between us disappeared. For a moment, everything else faded. The fear, the warnings, the consequences waiting just beyond this choice. When we finally pulled apart, the world rushed back in, sharp and uncertain. Come with us, Yona said quietly. Not a command, not quite a request, just an open door. Okay, I whispered. We walked to the car like we were already falling. Heron's hand found mine. Yona drove in silence, tension visible in every movement. The house waited in darkness when we arrived. Still safe. Or the exact opposite, inside. The door shut behind us with a final, echoing sound. Yona stepped closer, her forehead resting lightly against mine. Last chance to walk away. I'm not leaving. Then stay, Heron said softly from behind me. Let us protect you. The question came before I could stop it. Safe from who? I wasn't supposed to remember the taste of her lips. But when everything spiraled, that memory clung to me like a warning I chose to ignore. What came after wasn't just desire or fear. It was something darker, something that wrapped around all 3 of us and refused to let go. Yona's mouth found mine again, deeper this time, consuming, like she was trying to anchor me to her before something tore us apart. I leaned into it despite the chaos pressing in from every direction. Behind me, Heron's hands slid beneath the fabric of my shirt, warm and steady, holding me in place as if she could keep the world out just by not letting me go. For a moment, everything narrowed to breath and touch and the fragile illusion of safety. Then my phone buzzed. The sound shattered it. All three of us froze. My hands trembled as I pulled it out, already knowing it would be him. Whoever had been watching, following, waiting, no number. A photo, the three of us outside the police station, caught in a moment that wasn't meant for anyone else. Another message appeared immediately. How sweet. The replacement has already taken her place. My stomach dropped. Another image loaded. Closer this time, taken through glass use. Right now inside the house. A final message followed. Colder than anything before. I'm inside the house. Siori. I've been here the whole time. The air shifted. A sound came from upstairs. Footsteps slow, measured, certain. We turned together, drawn toward the staircase as if we had no choice. A figure stepped into view at the top, emerging from shadow into dim light. Dean Kwan. Her expression was calm, almost regretful, but her hand was steady. The gun was pointed directly at me. I'm sorry, she said, voice level, controlled. But you've left me no choice. The world seemed to pause around those words. Then she pulled the trigger. In the fraction of a second before everything disappeared, clarity struck like lightning. I loved them. Both of them. One of them had been lying, and I was never meant to survive this. Darkness swallowed everything. And yet, the story didn't end there, because what came next was worse. Far worse than anything that had already happened. Choices would have to be made. Truths would surface that should have stayed buried. And not everyone would make it through what was coming. This was only the beginning. Part 2 waits on the other side of that darkness, where survival has a cost.